Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Bolt Crew podcast. Dave Palais, Josh Palais, Mario Heron talking Charger football with you all season long. During the offseason, we try and get you at least twice a week, usually Tuesdays and Thursdays, 1 o'clock Pacific time during the week. When it's football season, we do at least 3 shows. So it's always fun. It's always fun this time of year getting ready for the draft and seeing how the Chargers are going to improve their roster. Free agency kind of passed, it didn't exactly go the way I think as fans, as we had our wish list of what we thought was going to happen. But we're seeing teams that have basically made drastic decisions on improving their roster. And there are teams that have said, you know what, this roster stinks. It's not working. It's time to get out now, like the 49ers. And at the same time, are the Chargers better? We want to see on a day-to-day basis, are the Chargers on paper looking better as they head into the draft? And all the rumors that everything that's going to happen in the draft. We'll have rumors for you in today's show as far as different so-called experts on who the Chargers will take in the draft. But after we did our last show, Josh, the Chargers did make a move. The Chargers did add a player. And I think most Charger fans are excited or pleased with the direction they went.
Yeah, and I am too. I hope everybody else is happy as well because this is a move that makes the Chargers better. We've been critical of the team for signing players for depth, which is great because the Chargers a lot of times lack depth, but you also need starters to be guys that make a difference. And Mekhi Becton, the guard that they got from the Philadelphia Eagles, is a difference maker, a former first-round pick, a huge human being, and a guy that's really going to help this offensive line, Mario.
Absolute beast in the run game. That's obviously something the Chargers very, very much need, especially because we saw the run game take a huge dip last year, right? First 3 weeks of the season, it was like, oh my gosh, look at this, football team that's just going to punch you in the mouth 24/7. And then it went to, all right, Herbert, you're going to throw the ball at least 40 times. A lot, if you can't get open, we're just all screwed and we're going to have a really bad day. So the run game for the Chargers definitely took a step in the right direction. Becton, 19th in run block grade of all the guards, according to PFF this past season in the NFL. PFF isn't everything, but it does mean something. And I know that he's kind of even gotten ripped today for like his pass protection. I'll say this though, only 2 hits and 3 sacks allowed in 2024. That's still pretty good. You can tell me it's because that Eagles line was also really, special. And, he had helped with chips and stuff like that. But at the same time, this guy is a good football player. And it was a position that we really needed help in. And the Chargers got it.
I mean, let's be honest. Everything in that interior offensive line is an improvement, right? The fact you got just a mountain of a man. I mean, the guy is enormous. It also goes right there when you look at the other guys they have. I mean, you kind of just set up Mario. When you look at the Philadelphia Eagles and everyone on that offensive line is extremely good, extremely talented. Well, now the Chargers are adding those pieces. I mean, right, if somebody kind of drops the ball, you still have to go through the other guys that are taking care of business and being able to help out. I mean, this is what it takes. You need, obviously, a solid center. You need 2 guards. You need 2 tackles. The Chargers, they say building from the inside out. Really, they're on the line-wise, they're building from the outside in is what they're doing. And they feel really comfortable with what they have in the tackle situation. You had Becton. 2 more pieces they have to fix here. And they can fix those in the draft. They can fix those in the draft and get someone to step in and hopefully make a difference. But you have to protect Justin Herbert. It doesn't take a genius to figure that out. You do need to establish the running game. That's where the Chargers feel most comfortable. They figure if you establish the running game, it eliminates turnovers, and also you control the clock. And I think Najee Harris is a guy that comes here that, number one, has a lot to prove. When the team that drafts you says, we no longer need you, that is a shot. That is a shot at you as a player, you as a man, and you basically not being talented enough to stay on this team. So when you look at Najee, he's a California guy. He's coming back home. He was heavily recruited by Jim Harbaugh. Josh and I, obviously, on the show, everybody knows we're giant Alabama fans. We really wanted Najee going to Alabama. We all knew all about him. And then all of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh was this close to stealing him to Michigan, to the point where he said he was up in there. So he knows Jim Harbaugh really well. He's not coming to Los Angeles to basically retire and have a couple of drinks and basically fizzle out on the beach in Santa Monica. That's not what he's doing. But I do worry about anyone that ever does sign with the Chargers for that reason. It seems like we heard that for years. Guys come to the Chargers and they get soft. They're free agent guys that come here and they basically go, I got my payday. There's nothing else to prove in the league or nothing that's really that much important to me. So, you know what, I go to California and just kind of ride out into the sunset. I don't think that's the case with Najee, and I don't think it's the case with Becton. I like both these signings.
I do too. And we talked about it before with Najee. He comes to play every game. He is a guy that does not miss games. and he's consistent. At Alabama, he was extremely consistent. He played in every single game, and then with the Steelers, he plays every single game. I would like for the Chargers to have another running back next to him that's close to his level to balance him out, because I don't think Najee Harris is good enough right now to just be the feature back like a Derrick Henry or a Saquon Barkley type, but he needs somebody to balance him out in the backfield, maybe something like what the Lions do with Montgomery and Gibbs. Obviously, we're not going to have Montgomery and Gibbs, but if we could have something to balance him out, I would love that. Another thing that's interesting about Mekhi Becton is he is the largest human being on the Chargers. He's huge. He is a massive, massive guy, and he's at guard. If you look at the Chargers offensive line, it's very interesting. The second smallest person across the line is the left tackle, which is funny because the left tackle is usually the biggest guy on the offensive line. So you have Mekhi Becton, who's gigantic at right guard. Then you have Joe Alt, who's even even taller than him, but weighs less at right tackle. You have Bozeman, who's bigger than Slater. You got Slater, and then you have Johnson. I haven't looked at how big the Chargers offensive line is compared to other teams, but Mario, I'd have to make a bet they're in the top 5 of one of the biggest offensive lines of the NFL, which I love, because you mentioned at the very beginning, if you want to have a strong run game, you need some maulers up there, and the Chargers have big dudes.
And it really goes back to what Harbaugh and Roman really always wanted to do, right? And that was create a run game that just cannot be denied. Well, last season, they just didn't have the personnel to do it when it came to the O-line and then the running back crew, for being honest. Gus Edwards really underperformed. JK did, pretty well, but then he got injured, which, nothing against JK, but that writing was on the wall. That was coming. That wasn't a surprise. And then now this year, we're kind of seeing them really form into what they've always wanted with Becton coming in. And now you look at this group and you go, all right, these guys are physical and bunch of bad SOBs, and that we're going to be able to get 5 yards carry if we really want to. I do agree with you that with Najee, it's still going to, I still want it to be, and I hope they're on the same page of running back by committee. I believe too that when, Dave, you have a weak receiver room, which we still very much have, running backs got to pick it up. So if the running backs got to pick it up and you don't have a Saquon level type, which we don't, then
Nobody
it's got to,
does.
nobody does. But then you got to have a combination that is just unstoppable on the ground.
Yeah, no, and that's what the Chargers want. Look, it's not the most exciting football when you think about, going out and throwing the ball around in the backyard. I mean, how many people go out there as a kid, 10 to 12 years old, and you're practicing your handoffs? I mean, come on, we're throwing the ball. Everybody likes to see the ball in there, but as old school guys, older than me would say, look, when you put the ball in there, 3 things are going to happen, and 2 of them are bad. And, so if you want to be, basically control, again, the clock and, time of possession with the ability to move the ball and get first downs, it's through the run game. And again, he's not Barkley, but, Barkley broke down with the Giants a lot too. I mean, Barkley, you can argue, had his best year in Philadelphia. I mean, you have to have talent around you. Not saying Najee's a guy that's going to the Hall of Fame, but he does play all the time, like Josh says. He does get 1,000 yards all the time. He did win a national championship in college, so he knows what that feeling's like to win as well. And he's never been a guy that's a problem off the field. So he's everything that the Chargers talk about when you talk about culture. He's going to fit in fine. Not saying the Chargers don't go out and get another running back in the draft and you do the running back by committee. I understand all that. But man, it takes a lot. I mean, it is hard to do. If you think about it, anyone who's ever played the GM game at home, how do you keep the plate spinning all the time? Meaning, how do you beat the age factor? How do you fill the holes and yet continue to keep going in the right direction? Plus, you have the salary cap. Look at the Dallas Cowboys, right? Spent crazy money and still couldn't figure out how to do it. And, talk about a team that can't figure out how to do it, and a team that does try and win by putting the ball in there, Cincinnati. And I'll bring up Cincinnati now because so many Charger fans wanted T. Higgins here. T. Higgins is back with the Bengals, okay? Jamar Chase is back with the Bengals. Dude, they did not make a move going forward. So what did that get them? They weren't even in the playoffs in that situation a year ago. So what is the combination that it takes to be the last team out of 32 at the end of the season? That's what every team's asking themselves. For the Chargers, look, man, we need desperate help at tight end, right, on this offensive side of the ball. We need help now in the defensive tackle position. We need help in the linebacker situation. We need help at a lot of places. Not a terrible team. We have other guys are doing fine. We need another edge rusher. But overall, I think the foundation is what you have where a lot of teams don't. I could take Jim Harbaugh, stick him in Cincinnati, and I'd say, man, they might be the favorites to win the Super Bowl. That kind of situation when you create a culture. And I think that the Chargers have that. At the same time, I'll say what people kind of said when we got off there last show. Look, man, Justin Herbert's 27 years old. I mean, it's time you show some kind of loyalty to Justin, to get him weapons, to get him a chance to become legendary. Because right now it just feels like we're sputtering with a guy that's a franchise quarterback in his prime.
You know, it's funny. You can look at something, all three of us can look at something and see it completely different ways. And that's what's happened with this Chargers team. You look at the roster today and you say, oh my God, we need a tight end, right? I mean, how can you look at the roster and not say that, right? You need a tight end. And then somebody else will tell you, well, I think there's 8 tight ends in this rookie class that can make a big impact. I don't know if you go with the tight end in the first round, Mario. And then you can look at it and say, hey, if Tyler Booker's there, how do you not go guard? He's right there. And then Mel Kiper comes out today and says, you have to get Matthew Golden. You only have Lad McConkey and a bunch of guys. You have to get Matthew Golden from Texas, the receiver. How do you look at it, Mario? Some people, like I said, are saying guard has to be the first pick. Tight end has to be the first pick. Receiver. Which way are you leaning today?
I'm leaning tight end. Tight ends is what I'm really, really leaning towards, because that's something Herbert just hasn't had yet in his career. And you mentioned it, Dave. Like, he's in his prime right now, and I feel like we're not giving him everything he can to be successful, to be like a top 3 QB. Like, if anything, we're going, look, you're in your prime right now. Let's make it a little harder on you. All right. You know, let's see how good your prime really is. That's what it kind of feels like. I think the tight end is a position you got to lock on for that first pick. I feel pretty confident in saying that. Guard, look, I know we need it, but we did that last year's draft. We did that. Can we not get a little weaponry? Can we not get a little excitement? We're past the 10 minutes. Give me boned up a little bit, Dave. You know what I mean?
So, you know, I want the tight end, but only if I can get one of the guys. I mean, the only 2 guys that I take in the first round, right? We're either taking the Michigan guy or we're taking the Penn State guy. And if those 2 guys aren't there, we're going in another direction. So you're going, okay, you want the most talent. When I saw Mel Kiper's deal, look, no one on the show is a Mel Kiper fan. I've said this before, and look, last year we did our first round picks, and I said, I guarantee you, Josh, Mario, and me, we will all end up doing better than Kiper, and we did. You know, Kiper's lucky to get 4 of 32 picks right, and all of us did much better than him. And it's ridiculous when that's your full-time job and you're getting paid $1 million a year from the biggest sports network. It's a clown show, okay? And the fact that he says go out and get a wide receiver, you know what bothered me most about him saying go out and get a wide receiver? Not saying we don't need one. I understand there are tremendous wide receivers out there. There are tremendous wide receivers rep-wise in every single draft. It's QJ failing to play his position on where he was drafted. Because QJ hasn't been able to perform at the level the Chargers thought he was going to perform 2 years ago, he has forced the Chargers to basically take a tight end in the first round or right at the end of the first round now 3 years in a row. If that's the case, they end up with another wide receiver. You have nobody to blame but QJ. When we just talked about how hard it is to fill positions and then to keep them going. And then when they age out, you're able to replace them with someone else, or you're able to get them through free agency and you're able to stay under the cap. But because QJ's been, and I don't want to say bust, because it's not a bust, he's a giant disappointment. Okay. He's a giant disappointment. He's serviceable.
That might be more hurtful.
Yeah.
It's meant to be hurtful. I'm super pissed. I'm super pissed right now. I'm so upset. Look, here's the deal, man. I'm telling you right now, if they draft another wide receiver, I'm just gonna mother F QJ all over my house. I'm telling you right now. I'm like, it's your fault. We've had to draft a wide receiver now 3 years in a row because of you. Because you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
It's Tom Telesco and whoever was responsible for making that pick, drafting him too high. He shouldn't have been a first-round pick. I don't think it's his fault that the Chargers reached. He's been a disappointment no matter what, but the Chargers should have never reached for that pick. Obviously, hindsight's 2020. But Mario, when you look at this draft, people are saying if McMillan from Arizona is available, the receiver, which I don't think he will be, but if he's available, how do you not grab a 6'4" freak, from Arizona as the receiver in the first round? If Kenneth Grant isn't available, how do you not make that pick? Joe Ortiz has said multiple times, the best player available. I don't buy that. And I don't think you should go that route if you have a glaring hole at a position that you need today. Like whichever tight end the Chargers draft, and I'm talking about if they get one in the first 5 rounds, he is the starting tight end because there's nobody else. So how do you not go with Colston Loveland, or if somehow Tyler Warren falls down to the Chargers, because that is the position you need the most? Receiver, we need it. D-line, we need it. Everything that we need is important. But to me, tight end, there's like nothing We have nothing. There's no other option. You have to get somebody that's going to make a huge difference.
I also too agree on the fact of I keep seeing the drops that we saw from our tight ends this year and the stupid offside penalties, and you're just like, this position is just absolutely killing us this year. I mean, it's just taking us steps back, and we won't really need that bleeding to stop. And how do we do that? Well, we get some of the best a tight end class that's pretty deep, and we get the best guy available. I do honestly still though stand by. You just got to get the best football player. I kind of do like that approach a lot, though, by Joe. I think that can be a good way to build your team. Like, Dave, I feel like that's what the Detroit Lions really did. Like, they didn't go, what position do we need filled? They went, what's best player available? That's why Jahmyr Gibbs went where he went, because that's the best football player on the board.
Yeah, no, I mean, look what the Lions did. Absolutely amazing, and look at these teams that go out and fill spots. John Lynch is considered one of the better GMs in the league, but he's looking at his situation with the Niners when he's been loaded at every position. We asked for years, how does he do it? How do you pay these guys? Well, they decided it's not working and they don't have a Super Bowl ring to show for it as far as a championship ring. For Joe Ortiz and Jim Harbaugh, it's going to be one of those where, hey, if they don't have that Super Bowl ring after 5 years, we're all going to go, what happened? That's what Dean Spanos paid for. There's a reason why you gave this head coach $20 million. A couple, questions. We all thought at the same time that Jim was the right guy, but did the Chargers hire the right GM? Did they hire the right offensive coordinator? We know they hired the right defensive coordinator, and we're lucky to have him as long as the Chargers can hold on to him. But as fans, as people who think we're knowledgeable football fans, not just the people on the show, but the people in the chat and people who have Charger season ticket holders, we're sitting there wondering, are we moving fast enough? I think is what a lot of people are concerned about as a franchise. I understand it's a 5-year contract, but man, we've waited years. I mean, this franchise has been around since 1960, right? We've waited years for this team to do something. And when you go, well, 4 more years and they'll win one in the last year. Look, if you promise me that they'll win at least one, man, I'm here for the ride. But if 5 years pass and Jim decides, hey, I'm going to test the market out for another job, because Jim does move, right? And or Jim retires, right? He's had some health issues. We're going to be extremely frustrated if we don't get that Super Bowl championship. And that's why he was brought here. I mean, things are definitely moving in a better direction than they were before. I'm sorry, it's Josh and I, we talk about it. It's our favorite sign. It's the one, our expectations you for low, but holy F, Brandon Staley, that was it. I mean, I'm sorry. You could have hired almost everybody outside of Brandon Staley and gone, this is an improvement. Look, they gotta win, man. And for me as a fan, and has been watching this team since, God dang, probably 1979. I'm sitting there going, this man, you got to move a little bit faster, man. There's a little bit of sense of urgency for a lot of us.
There is, and I probably go back and forth on the YouTube comments with people more than I should. I'm pissing off my wife because I'm arguing with people on YouTube all the time. But the argument back to us has been, this is what the Ravens do. Joe Ortiz is doing what the Ravens have done. And my argument back to them has been, it's not exactly true. Last year, the Ravens had a need at running back, and they went and got Derrick Henry. I understand that Derrick Henry is not making crazy money, but Derrick Henry is a guy at a position of need that you brought in. You can argue that Mekhi Becton is the best signing for value on this entire team during free agency. That's the best new player that the Chargers brought in, but it wasn't on day one. Does that bother you, Mario, that the Chargers didn't make moves on day one, or are you okay with the vision that you're seeing from Joe Ortiz so far?
Oof. I'm a little frustrated because of Poona Ford being let go, which just still doesn't make any sense to me. When we were the first ones to start the negotiation, when he had a career year for us, and that is a position we're not really deep in. It's not like, we have too many players at the party and like someone's got to go. It'd not be like a receiver 3 for the Bengals where it's like, we love to keep you, but we have Higgins and Chase. So, you can kind of kick rocks, buddy. It was like, no, we kind of really need him, guys, or we're going to be pretty screwed. I didn't like that by Joe. I was frustrated by the receiver moves where it was like a DK Metcalf, and then it was an earlier link to us, and then suddenly he's gone. And then you see Devontae Adams, which was more of a pipe dream, but then he's suddenly gone. And you're just sitting there, Dave, and you're going, all right, are we doing anything right now? And we talked about this, but still the most frustrating thing is You had money to spend and you're not spending it. The Patriots had money to spend and they went out there like they're, freaking Bill Gates, just throwing that thing around. No pun intended. But, poor choice of words. But back to you, Dave.
Yeah, but I don't think Bill Gates is throwing anything around.
You might be.
Right. I don't know. All right. So dude, you're crazy. All right. Yeah, you have the money to spend. We all said the same thing. Why aren't you spending the money? We're bragging about how much cap space you have. What's the point of having it if you aren't going to use it? It's obviously a weapon that almost every team in football would love to have, right? I mean, every fan base would love to have. Don't understand. Here's the deal also, and this is an insult to Charger fans who aren't going to like this. Man, we haven't won anything, so you don't know what it feels like to be a champion. Okay, but once you have that feeling of being a champion and you want it back so bad, it drives you. All right. You become addicted to it. Once you win once, you want that feeling again. There's nothing like being the best out of 32 teams. Again, I will say this a million times. When someone asks you, what is your team? If you walk into a party or you're at work, everyone knows you're talking about the NFL. Your team is an NFL team. That's how big the sport is. Why do you think Robert Kraft, and I know he's 100, but why do you think Robert Kraft all of a sudden is doing everything he can? He had hired a coach a year ago, and he's already fired him and brought in a new coach. Why do you think Robert Kraft is spending money like crazy? Because number one, he's old, but two is he knows what it feels like to be a champion. And once you're a champion, there's nothing like it. Philadelphia Eagles, same thing. There's that big rush to be there again. Jerry Jones has been chasing it since 1995. Once you're a champion, man, you want to be a champion again. And Charger fans, you don't understand, I don't think, what it feels like. And when it happens, you will be addicted for the rest of your life to go, we got to be a champion again, because that was the best season ever as a fan. And anyone who's dedicated to this team as far as buying season tickets, good for you. Anyone who's buying merchandise, good for you. You guys are all in. You try and change teams. It's almost impossible. We've all said it. Everyone in this chat, everyone who's ever been a Charger fan, at one point you've gone, F this team. I'm now going to be a fan of the Cleveland Browns. And it's impossible. You cannot change teams. Once you're a fan of that team, it is stuck in your blood forever because you're used to the colors and you're used to rooting for exactly what's there all the time. And unfortunately, we're addicted to a team that hasn't proven they can win. It's been really hard being a fan of this team.
I think you brought it up on the last show. The Chargers are building from the bottom up when we thought they're going to build from the top down, which is because we painted that picture in our heads. All of us did, right? And you hear all these rumors about DK Metcalf and Devontae Adams. Then they sign Benjamin St-Juste, and we look at each other and we go, what the hell was that? Right? Because you expect them to grab the top guys at the top positions. Maybe it's our fault because we don't see the vision that Joe Ortiz has. And I'm not giving up on Joe Ortiz. It's just an approach that we didn't expect, right, Mario? It's like when Mr. Beast allows people to go in a grocery store and he says, you can buy whatever you want in 10 minutes. And then the kid starts with the stapler. You go, what the hell are you doing with the stapler? You go get the bed over there. He goes, I need the stapler. That's Joe Ortiz trying to get the stapler before the bed. But, I mean, you got to trust his vision, Mario. He has a plan. He's brought in for a reason. And maybe he just sees something that I still don't see.
I think the other confusing stuff, too, is when Williams and Allen kind of left last year and then, like, Bosa leaves this year, I feel like it was kind of like an end of an era, if you will. And, like, Eckler was also gone. And you're like, okay, that, time period for the Chargers, that was done. Yeah, that's it. Thanks for the ride. Thanks for the memories. And then when you bring, like, Mike Williams back, and he's not, you're not bringing him back and he's like, oh, he had a great year. It's like, oh, you lost the game for the Jets one time. He looked like he didn't know any of the plays one freaking game. And, he's another year older and another year more hurt. So what are we doing here? It's weird. It's like, you go to college for a year and you come back home and you call your high school ex-girlfriend and then you start dating her. And then all your friends are like, think that was a good idea, buddy? You're like, probably not. By junior year, we're going to break up pretty nasty.
Well, Mike Williams had a terrible year. If you listen to Mike Williams talk about it, he doesn't even run from the fact, I mean, he says nice things. He does the company line stuff. Like he says nice things about Aaron Rodgers, says nice things about Mike Tomlin. But you look at his yardage and you look at the year he had. I mean, he's lucky to be in the league. I mean, it's insane. Like if you add up everything Mike Williams did for the entire season, there are high school players that are stars that do that on a Friday night, in one game, and that is it. So, I mean, hopefully he comes back and going, I'm embarrassed. And, I've made a lot of money in this league compared to average jobs. And, I want to show something. I want to show out. Now he also said, Keenan Allen's his best friend in the league, and he wouldn't tamper with saying that Keenan's coming back. But a lot of talks that not only does he want him back, Keenan wants back. And so you hopefully if those guys come back together, you sit there and go, well, we're going to get the best version of them, because you don't know what you're missing until it's gone. And they saw it for a year where they were appreciated. At least they had the understanding they're appreciated, compared to what happened in Chicago for Keenan, what happened with the Jets and Steelers with Mike Williams. And it's one of those where if they come back, it's not like, all of a sudden the Chargers have, John Jefferson and Charlie Joyner, two of the best receivers they ever had. It's not that situation. It's kind of what I just said with the Bengals. You aren't really making huge steps to improve. It's the same ingredients you already had when you weren't winning, but it's better than what they have in their place. That's the sad thing, and look, this might come off bad too. All right. But Joe Ortiz and pull the one up Ryan just posted. I know it's in green right here. Do you see the one that Ryan just said it right here? It's a $5 one. Okay. And it basically says, does an unused cap roll over next season? All right. So yeah, the money does roll over. I was, tongue in cheek in it last week when I said, are the Chargers trying to save enough money where they can buy another franchise? But Ryan, yeah, the money does roll over into your account. The thing is this: do we have a GM and a head coach that are going for it right now, like we hope, or are they going, hey, we're doing our job for? And I don't think Jim is, but Ortiz, I don't know. Is he doing it for job security? It's hard to fire someone who say, hey, there's a process and we've improved the roster and we're moving forward every single year. We just aren't championship level yet. Like, it seems like these baby steps are driving us all crazy.
It's driving me crazy. It's driving me nuts. And the thing is, people are talking about Mike Williams like he's the Mike Williams that came out of Clemson. I don't see Mike Williams being more than a wide receiver 4 at this point in his career. Am I crazy, Mario? What are your expectations for Mike Williams going into next year, numbers wise? Before you answer the question, I'm not a big fan of QJ at all, but I would take QJ right now over Mike Williams.
Oh, I don't think that's a hot take at all. I don't think that's a hot take. I would do that too. What is Mike Williams? How many yards does he get next year? I think at the most 500. At the most.
I agree.
And then and then how many games does he honestly play? Like, let's just cut the crap. Be a little honest here. 7, 8. Like, I'm not trying. Like, it's just the point where he is.
I think it's half the games. He usually plays about half. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably what we're gonna get out of him. Yeah. So that's what we're gonna get out of our receiver 3. All right. Well, at least we have Jalen there. That probably is never gonna put on a Charger uniform. When he does,
former first round pick. Does that count
for something? That's you know what that is? That's a good credit when you get introduced on a show. Former first round pick.
Yeah.
And then you go, just don't look into the career.
Yeah.
But quick question for you guys.
Yeah.
Because I was writing this down because I thought of this. Where would you rather, what position would you rather be? So the Chargers right now, obviously, you mentioned it, Dave. Are we trying to win right now? And are we just taking these really tiny, small baby steps that my 2-year-old niece makes? Or would you rather have a Giant situation where you're in a kind of a rebuilding process, but the first year things go a lot better than expected and kind of, let's be honest, completely overshoot. And then you come back to normal and then you realize, oh, we still have a lot more to go.
I'd rather be in the Chargers situation, basically having Justin Herbert over Daniel Jones. I mean, Daniel Jones completely screwed the Giants when he had that one big game against the Vikes.
Oh my God.
They overpaid for him. It was the worst thing to happen to their franchise. My point is, we have the guy. We have the guy that almost every NFL team wants, and the Chargers aren't doing what they should do to support him. I mean, everybody can see it. I mean, if Justin Herbert had the arrogance of an Aaron Rodgers, and trust me, we're all sick of Aaron Rodgers, I would almost appreciate it a little bit of saying, dude, I want reports of Justin Herbert's not happy. I want to be able to turn the TV on these NFL shows, go, man, reports out of LA, Justin Herbert's not happy. It would make my day. But so we never know what Justin Herbert's doing. This guy dang fly fishing right now in South Dakota. I have no idea what Justin Herbert's doing, but he's not vocal. We don't know because, look, dude, there's a time. You're 27 years old. It's okay to use the media as a weapon. And if he did it, I would respect it. I wouldn't look at him as a troublemaker. I'd look at it, he's fighting for his legacy.
I wish he did. I think all of us fans wish he would speak up a little bit more. I think the Chargers would make a move for a difference maker at tight end or receiver if Justin Herbert made it known. I'm not okay with what we have. Justin Herbert gets knocked around like no other in these games because the offensive line stinks. People can't get open, and he's the one that suffers, right? He's the one that's getting a lot of the blame for the Houston Texans game. People are saying he's not deserving of being in the top 5 in that conversation between the quarterbacks. If I was Justin Herbert, I would have shown a little bit more, distaste for what's gone on than he has, but that's just his personality.
And there's nothing wrong with, like you said, Dave, like phrasing it in a better way. Like, I just need more help. You're not really crapping on your teammates. You just like say, yeah, I need help. Like, we got to improve our roster. That's not like a bad thing to say. And two, you can see it in the games. Like, you can see him getting frustrated. You can see him throws a dime. The guy's just not there. They're not looking at the football, or is a bad drop pass. And you're like, man, what are you going to, when the next day, when they're talking about it on every big outlet, the line's not going to be wide receiver 4 for the Chargers from St. Mary of the Blind High School, dropped the pass. No, it's going to be Justin Herbert played a bad game. That's what it's going to be. And no one's going to do the research to see whose fault it really was. It's just how it goes. You always just blame the quarterback. For the better or for the worse, you're going to get blamed. And that's the game. That's the ball game we're in.
I'd love to see media members ask Justin Herbert these direct questions. Like, hey, didn't you sign this long-term contract with the Chargers because you thought it was an opportunity to win, or did you sign this long-term contract because the pay was good? Just put him on the spot. Make him answer the tough question. Make him say what we all want him to say. Now, if he says the wrong thing, have complete faith in Jim and Joe, that's not what we want to hear. That's just passing it off. But if you say, look, I signed a long-term contract with this team, or a big contract with this team to win games and bring a championship to Los Angeles, man, we'd all say, okay. And saying right now, we haven't been able to do that. We got to figure out a way to do that. Just answer the question like that. And then it's a message to the front office. Dude, you got $100 million. Start spending it. Let's go. The good players are already gone. So, I mean, the argument we're having now is insane. We should have done this show 2 weeks before. Kind of started a campaign, get everybody all riled up. But damn, if I'm Justin and I'm sitting at my parents' house and my feet are up and I'm going, can you believe this S? We're going to run it back the same way we did last year. We're going to get in the playoffs, and I'm going to S the bed right there against the Texans. And it's not going to be my fault because I didn't have any weapons. We're going to be in the same situation, but guess what? I'll be 28 the next year, a year closer to retirement.
Talking about running it back. I mean, that's the other big story around the NFL, that the Bengals are running it back with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase for the long term. What's your thoughts, Mario? Are you a fan of that? If you're a Bengals fan, is that what you'd want?
I'd be pumped if I was a Bengals fan because I never thought that would happen. I'd be excited too because I think it's a change in the direction of your organization, of where you're really, really cheap and you just eat skyline chili, to no, we're in it for the long run. We really want to win a championship. And they got close a couple years ago. Then you got to figure out how to start the year, and they got to figure out that defense. I think they brought in a good DC from Notre Dame. I think he can turn that around. Now it just goes, is there enough money around to go to Trey Hendrickson? And does he want to stick around for it? If he's able to, then they kind of become, I think they still have to have a really good draft, because you can't just run it back with that exact same roster and go, oh, now we're a Super Bowl contender because we brought everyone back. Buddy, you're bringing everyone back from a team that didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's one of my favorite things I've ever heard. Is I was listening to a North Carolina podcast one time, and they're like, this team's going to be really good next year in college because they're bringing everyone back. The guy goes, they went 500 and they're bringing everyone back. How the hell are they going to be better? Is everyone going to take massive steps? It's like, oh, it's a good point. Just because you're bringing everyone back and you think, oh, they're this close, you're that close to the playoffs, you weren't that close to a title. So they still got to do something more. And Dave, I still think they got to figure out the head coaching spot. I don't think Zach Taylor is it for him. He's
not. And he gets off to the worst start ever. Zach Taylor's the only guy that doesn't know the NFL schedule starts in September. No one ever gets off to a worse start than the Bengals. Like, if the Bengals are on your schedule, you want to face them in September because it seems like they're never ready to go. Anyway, and they're doing it wrong, man. I'm glad I'm not a Bengals fan. I mean, I understand it's probably pretty exciting to watch Joe Burrow with 2 great wide receivers, but the idea that you're talking about getting rid of your best defensive player, and that's who I want the Chargers to go out and grab. Like, make this happen. Please go out and grab him. You're one of the teams that can afford to pay him. Go out and make that move. You're talking about an edge rusher that is arguably the best in the NFL, and I mean better than Watt, better than Crosby. He's great. I mean, didn't he have more sacks over the last 3 years than any of them? So Chargers make this move. If he's available and the Bengals are trying to run it back, the idea that you would sign T. Higgins before you'd sign him is crazy to me, is absolutely crazy. So let's take advantage of the Bengals' mistake of their inability to pay him, and let's go grab him because we desperately need him.
I thought it was interesting that the Bengals have a horrible defense and a great offense, and they say Trey Henderson, maybe he can walk, and then T. Higgins, we're going to bring him back. I don't understand that at all. To me, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I'm going to give you the numbers for Trey Henderson the last 5 seasons, okay? Starting in 2020. 13 and a half sacks, 14 sacks, 8 sacks, 17 and a half sacks, 17 and a half sacks. He is an absolute machine. I have no idea what they're doing. I think he's the most underrated player in the NFL. You hear about Myles Garrett and Nick Bosa and TJ Watt. He's right there in the conversation with all those guys. I would have brought him back. I mean, to me, he's a guy you definitely resign. I don't know. If he was a Charger, oh my God, man, I'd be on cloud 9 till the beginning of the season.
They reported that they're now like really working hard to get a deal done with him, and whether that happens, we shall see. 2-3 weeks ago we thought Myles Garrett was out the door, and he was blocking everyone's number. And I think that number got pretty high, and he's brought back in. But he's a hell of a player. Like I said, I think he's a very underrated sack leader. He probably still needs to work on him on looking good out there on the field, I'll say. Let's work on the attire a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
His best friend just retired, Sam Hubbard, across the way. Yeah, that means anything. I don't know.
Again, the Chargers are one of the few teams that only could make a move, but they could pay him. You could pay this guy, and they desperately need him. You got rid of Joey, he wasn't giving you anything, right? You got Bud over here, who's not doing anything. Khalil's a year older. I mean, how are you going to put pressure on the edges from – if you're the Chargers, what's your plan of attack?
Yeah. All right, we got comments here we're going to get to, Mario. First one comes from AK499. He says, Uncle Dave and Josh, I want Mario to answer first. He says, I am bringing Hot Topic, my brother. Josh is aware, but I told him on X on Sunday. Okay, and here's the comment from AK999. Says, Mario, this is the question. LT's MVP season, did the Chargers win the Super Bowl that season with Herbert as starting quarterback? I say yes. What do you say? I also cannot wait for Uncle and hear what Josh has to say as well. He said, would the Chargers have won the Super Bowl the year that LT won the MVP if Justin Herbert was the quarterback?
No, because you still lost to the Patriots. If Herbert can't beat the Chiefs, how the hell is he going to beat Tom freaking Brady? See you, buddy. That's not happening. And then after that, you get Manning. Okay. That year, good luck.
Yeah, I'm not okay. AK, man, I love you, but the hypothetical questions always drive me crazy. I don't care what they are. Okay, it drives me nuts. All right, my younger son used to do this to me all the time. We'd just be in the car, and he would just look at me and go, "What happened if we came home right now and our dog had 10 puppies and we didn't even know about it?" I'm like, "Well, consider I had her fixed. First 8 weeks she was alive. That's never going to happen. So why waste my time with these questions?" So I'm not a big fan of hypothetical questions. Justin Herbert has never won S. I'm sorry. And until he starts winning postseason games, he's not in the conversation as the greatest winningest quarterbacks of all time, even in the league currently. He has to win postseason games. I understand it's one player, one position, but that's the way it is for every quarterback in this league. You got to win in the postseason. Look, you can talk about every one of these guys, whether it's Austin Eckler, whether it's Joey Bosa, whether it's LT. I'm sorry, when they all walk out the door and they didn't fill up that trophy case, I don't miss any of them like I think you guys miss them. I don't. There's only one guy that left that I felt bad for. That was Phillip Rivers. He was the only guy that when he walked out the door, I was like, man, this kind of sucks, especially when you saw him the next year lead the Colts to the playoffs, and I felt like Phillip Rivers' relationship with Los Angeles, with the Chargers, it's fractured. You don't even see him at games ever. He has his own family. He's across country. He's in Florida, Alabama, wherever the hell he's at right now. And he's like never part of the team. I mean, he was in the league just a few years ago, and you never see anything about Phillip Rivers except if it's about his son who's getting ready to go to college. That's it. But he should be like the Dan Marino type guy for us, where you just can't stop talking about him, and he was the one guy that I felt bad didn't win here. Even when he tore his, ACL and he still played against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, man, went up a lot of notches. Also, look at this. Phillip Rivers never missed games. Remember when he retired, he held the record for the most games started consecutively or played in by an NFL quarterback. He didn't miss games. He did everything he could to play. He loved the game, loved the Chargers, and now he's just an afterthought of this franchise and the fan base.
Yeah, this is going to be hurtful, what I'm going to say right now. If you were to give me Justin Herbert at his best in his prime versus Phillip Rivers at his best in his prime, I'm not sure who I'm taking. And people are going to think I'm crazy. So how do you not take Justin Herbert? He can run. Phillip Rivers couldn't run. He can throw the ball over the field, stronger arm than Phillip. I love Phillip Rivers. He's my favorite Charger quarterback of all time. I'm not sure it's a slam dunk right now. You say Justin Herbert is for sure better than Phillip Rivers. Maybe when it's all said and done, his numbers will be better. Who knows? Phillip Rivers is like top 5 all time in all major passing categories. I think Phillip Rivers is one of the more underrated quarterbacks. And the reason why people don't give him credit, we all know, is because he didn't win the big game. All right. Go to the next one.
Yeah, next one. Oh, we already did this one.
Andrea Kenny says $5 says, I saw a sports podcaster suggesting that Vikings trade JJ McCarthy and a 1 for Herbert. Could that happen? What do you think, Mario?
Absolutely not. No way in hell. No. If that happened, then that would be bigger than actually probably on the same level. I don't know. Would that be bigger than Luka to the Lakers? Probably not. But it'd be like that type of level shock for me if this happened.
Yeah, never gonna happen. Never gonna happen. Sorry, I'm not a JJ McCarthy fan. I thought he was drafted way too high. You have a proven quarterback that actually you drafted and actually played the position. You look at past drafts of how many quarterbacks go in the first round and they're complete bust. I mean, it is less than a coin flip that these guys actually work out. The fact that that would be a possibility is absolutely ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. I appreciate the chat, the money and everything, but that would drive me crazy. When I just said how you can't change teams, that right there would be me going, all right, I got to find a new team. I got to find a new team. I think I'd be freaking out. It would be the worst news ever.
Yeah, I think when you watch those Michigan games with JJ McCarthy, he was a weakness on that team. That team was so good all around him. I didn't think he was one of the best players by a long shot. When you watch the Chargers, it's the opposite, right? Justin Herbert's probably the best player on the team, and you have a bunch of guys around him. Do we have a Dave rant by any chance?
Yeah, I got one for you real quick. All right. So I got up at 3 a.m. I watched the Dodgers take on the Cubs today. Love baseball. All right. But my big argument with the baseball is it's insane to me that they don't have automatic or robot umps already. I mean, it's either a ball or a strike. You get the calls right. Mario does gambling shows when he's not doing this. Look, there's money, major money set on every single sporting event. You got to get the calls right. All right. The idea that you have the technology, but you don't use it because whatever it's the umpires union, whatever it is, the fact that I can be in San Diego, California and tell you if it's a ball or strike, but the guy who's, a half a foot behind the catcher in Japan can't tell you if it's a ball or strike is ridiculous. I'm literally 3 a.m, alarm goes off. I know the game's going to start at 3:05. Run downstairs, flip the TV on, just the dog and me, and I'm super excited because my team won the World Series last year. The very first pitch of the game, this far over the square, I should say, on Ohtani, strike. And I'm like, here we go. Both arms in the air. Pitch 1 of the 2025 season. Here we go. Big fat Bill Miller right there. Can't even sit there and call a ball or strike correctly on the very first pitch of the season. That being said, the highlight of the game. Did either one of you guys watch this game by any chance? Anyone get up super early and watch this? Well, you guys had more.
So I actually got I woke up earlier than I ever do, and I just caught like 2 seconds of it because I couldn't go back to bed, and I was just sitting there and the person I was with was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "It's baseball." This guy was really funny. It was just I probably looked like an idiot. I was just like, baseball. Yeah, and I don't even like baseball.
And if you had to pick a team, you're a Cubs fan, right?
Yeah, I'm a Cubs fan. I mean, I just turned it on because I was like, "Oh, this is
For you, it's 6 a.m. For me, it's 3 a.m. Okay.
Yeah, you're just all on a bender.
Yeah, I went to bed at 12:30, and I'm getting up at 3 to watch this game. I'm dead tired, by the way. So I haven't recovered from daylight savings time change, and here I am. I'm pulling this one off. So the highlight though is there's some guy in like left center field, and he has a laser pointer, and he's pointing it towards the batters from left center field. And the same guy just ripped Bill Miller. He takes his microphone. They whenever there's an appeal, they sit there and they explain to the crowd. After review, the runner is now safe at first. He clicks that mic button and he points his finger. 1 out of 45,000 people. You with the laser pointer, knock it off. Like, what the hell? He used it to berate some fan for using the laser pointer, which cracked me up. But I don't know. And hey, Fox, don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money. I mean, it's ridiculous. Your announcers on a nationally televised game in Japan, which is a big deal, are calling the game off the TV set in the United States. Don't be afraid to ship the guys right there all the way to Japan and actually do a real game. What? It's supposed to be $1 billion industry. What the hell's going on with Major League Baseball? So there's my rant for the day. Completely half-assed at Fox's broadcast. AJ Przinsky should not be doing national games. Sorry.
Oh, friend of the program.
Not this show. Not this program, pal. Not my pal.
Not my pal.
All right, man. We got one more. We have 2 more comments right here. All right, we got John G 499 says, "Is the team possibly lowballing Slater on an extension? We have the money." See, that would piss me off right there. Why would you lowball Rashawn Slater, a guy that seems to do everything right? I mean, he's missed a few games, but Rashawn Slater, to me, is one of the few things with the Chargers that I'm never concerned about off the field, on the field. He's a guy that's a beast. Just give him the money. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
Same here. And also, these always take time and are always kind of tricky and weird. Like I mentioned the Garrett thing earlier, like that they can literally go from they hate each other, they blocked each other's numbers, they're hitting on their exes, to like they're at PF Chang's having a good time.
All right, next one comes from Alana Moore. She says $5. "I love Mike Williams. Joy walking into the new facility. Laugh out loud. Y'all be nice to Mike. I'm hopeful about him being back." Excuse me. Does he wear number 7 since that's his college number?
He is.
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question. What's your opinion on that? When players come back to their old team and they change their number? You like that? Like new me?
I'm a big fan, actually. I love when they do that.
It depends on the player.
Did that, right?
Yeah, but Ezekiel Elliott, he was a big time star in Dallas wearing number 21, and he comes back with number 15, his college number, and you're like, dude, what about all the guys that bought your number? Like, that kind of sucks.
All right, but it's cool though. Like, I mean, when people have the Kobe 8 jersey, that's cool. I'm always like, ooh, that's fun. With the Jordan 45, I'm like, that's fun.
But they never left their team, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that different?
That's true.
My thing is, Mario,
True.
like when a guy leaves and then they come back like new year, new me kind of thing. Like I don't know.
It's one of my least favorite phrases in life.
Annoying. Yeah. I'm all for it. I like that the receivers have the option of being a single digit number. I think it's cool. I thought it was always kind of stupid how they had to be in the 80s or in the teens. Good for Mike. You never answered the question though, Dave, for Mike Williams. What's your projection numbers wise for his yards and his touchdowns, maybe even his catches? What do you got?
I'm gonna go high. I'm gonna go 50 receptions, 50. I'm gonna go 750 yards. I'm gonna go high.
Wow, you have a lot of faith in Mike Williams.
No, I don't. I don't have a lot of faith in everyone else, and they're on a lot of choices. That's what I do.
If he has 750 yards, like I'll give you $100. I just don't know if he's going to be on the field that much.
He probably won't.
Right. Here we go. Mike G, $5 says, "Could you guys see them drafting a multi-role offensive lineman, then let Slater walk next year?" Wow.
Nope.
They better not.
Highly doubt it.
They better not. I mean, you actually hit a home run with your draft pick. He's obviously one of the best in the NFL. Come on, what are we doing? Pay the man.
Don't let him walk. That'd be a major mistake. I don't think Joe Ortiz would let that happen. All right.
I don't know. By the way, I just don't know what the holdup is. I mean, there's obviously, there's obviously a grid on what these guys deserve to be paid. What is the holdup? What are we doing?
Yeah, I will touch on his first part of that comment. I think they do go for a multi-role offensive lineman in this draft, a guy that can play guard or center interchangeably. I don't know why you wouldn't with this team. I think you should definitely go for a guy that's if you want to call it like a utility offensive lineman. I think that would make a lot of sense. All right.
I agree.
Is that it?
Oh, I got one thing for you guys. It's a recurring problem for me that I can't figure out.
Oh boy.
But it's popped up on me again today. So as I've kind of established, I'm not the best decorator. It's not in the gene pool. It's not in the cards. And so I realized today, I thought I got better. I thought, you know what? I think I'm kind of figuring this out a little bit. I got like a nice stand like next to my TV. Got like a couple pictures of friends. Got pictures of nieces and nephews because like, all right, we're growing up a little bit, right? I was like, we're taking steps in the right direction. And then I had like a fresh pair of eyes on it, and someone hit me with like, what's like your theme of your apartment? I guess was like kind of like the easiest way to say that. The person's like, oh, like I love Florida, so it's like you're very relaxing, like seashells and stuff and the crap like that. And and someone goes, well, what's yours? And I started to look around my apartment, and I realized that mine's just Michael Jordan themed because I have 5
Dude, I respect
Jordan
that.
posters.
I like
I
that.
know. And as soon as I counted, I go, God damn it, dude. I was like, I thought I figured this out. Then I like looked down, I'm wearing a Jordan t-shirt. And
Dude, I
I was
respect
like,
all this. I respect all this.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But it was just a funny realization I had where I was like, maybe I'm not doing as good as I thought I did.
No, I think you're doing great, actually. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe you're asking the wrong people, though.
Yeah, you're asking 100%. Ask someone else. But I'm telling you right now, if I walked in your apartment, I saw nothing but framed pictures of seashells in Florida, dude, forget it. Like, I'm like, what's wrong with you, dude? What? No. Yeah, no, we would not be hanging out. Wouldn't be friends. The Jordan thing, it's greatness. I got no problem with that at all.
Yeah, just staring at a coat. Yeah.
Yeah,
One has magic in it, and he signed it too. So there you go.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. I have Larry Bird and Magic up there. That's
I need a bird. That's my next one to get is a bird. I don't have any bird one.
Yeah. That's funny. God dang it, man. Why has a girl ever said anything to you? Like, what are you doing?
That's the problem. That is the situation. No, I mean, it's like she asked me that, and then she's coming by, and I was just sitting there. I was like, I really don't have a theme. And then I looked around.
You shouldn't have a theme. Come on.
And I was not like a theme, not a theme, but like, I guess I'm trying to think like the easiest way to put it. Like I was just like, I just don't decorate. I was like, my decorations. So like, what do you put on your walls? It was like family stuff. And as I look around, I'm like, actually, Michael Jordan. that's what I put around. And Conor McGregor. Don't Google him, but at that point in time, he was a 2-time champ, and he was really good.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think. If you're in a serious relationship, you definitely got to change things up. Like all that Jordan stuff's getting up in the garage one day. You know that, right? Or in your home office.
So my
kids' room.
Yeah, so my thought process is here. So the flip side of that coin is most of this stuff I have is from my dad. And then it kind of clicked with me. I'm like, oh, Kurt's just getting all this stuff kicked out of his own home. And he's just giving it to me. Because he knows he can't give it to any of his other kids because they all have wives. So like I'm the one who goes, you can have it. You will put it up. So I'm the last man standing.
Yeah, gotcha. I gotcha. I don't know,
Yeah.
man. You know what? You got eventually. I don't know. I'd say within the next 3 years, you probably do have to change things up, Mario. Like if you want, yeah, absolutely, probably do because every girl you date after whatever as you get closer to 30, they're gonna say, "I don't want to date a boy. I want to date a man."
Yeah, that comment's gonna really hurt. By the way, that's gonna. God damn. Yeah.
You got a couple years left in you, I think is what it is. I think.
I think party's always. I mean, not if you want to, do you. But I think you're always good until you hit 30 or you have a kid. That's my two lines drawn.
Okay, good deal. And until everyone, but please subscribe and like the show if you like the show. Please do it. It's always a little off base, but it's the way we do it. So I don't know what to tell you. All right, in a decent mood today. For me, I am just dead tired, and the Dodgers won, so I'm not screaming or threatening at anyone today. So that was a good day. And then we move forward, and then we come back with. I didn't give you. Let me give this real quick. I'd tell you some of the experts, okay, on who they say the Chargers are drafting. Okay, real quick, and we'll get out of here. Pro Football Focus says the Chargers take Mike Green, edge rusher from Marshall. CBS Sports says Colston Leveland, tight end to Michigan. The Draft Network says Matthew Golden, wide receiver, Texas. And the 33rd team says Matthew Golden, Texas, wide receiver.
Cool. We have one more comment that snuck in here. $4.99. Rick H Town says hearing free agent receivers don't like Roman's offense. Ladd put up 1,000 yards. JK before injury was on pace for 1,000 yards. Why the hate?
It's his Baltimore reputation. That's what it is. You know, that right there, it's a good note you sent us right there. Again, that would be my argument back if I was the Chargers. You know, you're thinking about his past resume, but look, if Vlad was able to do it and JK was able to do it, then there's no reason why you can't be the guy to help take us to the next level. But that's all Baltimore hate right there.
I agree, 100%.
And it probably a little over exaggerated now. No,
I agree.
yeah.
I mean, exaggerated? Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
All right, we'll get out of here. Again, we'll be back on Thursday at 1:00. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Bolt Crew Podcast, Mario Heron, Josh Pele. I'm Dave Pele. We'll see you on Thursday.